Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Wild Rift patch notes 3.3c. It's not the biggest of patch notes, I must admit. It's only about 6 pages long, but there are a lot of huge champions and item changes that will be coming out very soon in patch 3.3c. Now, normally I do a first look video on the Friday before the patch. Unfortunately, I wasn't available on Friday last week, but I have the patch notes here for you. So we're going to be going through all the changes. I'll let you know what I think, and I'll let you know where I think the champion will sit after these changes. Now, the first champion is a champion that some people love, some people hate. I think people have a lot of mixed feelings, but Camille has still been dominant even after like 7 or 8 nerfs that's been happening to her now. But Riot are nerfing her again. But as you can see, Camille is currently one of the most dominant champions in higher levels of play because of all the damage and reliable utility she provides for her team. We're giving her a handful of nerfs while also adding a new function to her hookshot ability to put her in a more balanced spot. So the first up is the tactical sweep, which is the second ability. The slow against enemy units was 8% or 80%, sorry, for 2 seconds, but now it's 80% that decays over 2 seconds. So now you're not going to be getting the consistent 80% slow over 2 seconds. It's now going to go from 80% down to 0% decaying over time. So basically after 1 second, the slow is only going to be 40%. And then after 0 seconds, obviously the slow is going to be 0%. This makes it quite much more difficult for Camille to use this as kind of a poking tool, because sometimes you can use this as a poking tool, and I mean it still will work because the damage is still there, but sometimes you use your second ability at the start when trading. Use your second ability as a slow, which allows you to walk up to proc your first ability and also your passive, and then you can look to walk around quite easily and use your hook shot to either re-engage or get away back to safety. Now obviously the slow is not going to be that effective anymore, so maybe you might have to do that combo a little bit differently during laning phase. But the slow is definitely going to be a big hit for Camille. The slow is really helpful, especially for Camille when she's trying to catch up, when she's trying to use her ultimate, or maybe trying to use auto attack. So that might not be as affected. Hookshot, as I mentioned, is getting a pretty big nerf, but also a new change to it. So as you can see, the cooldown's gone up by what's this, I think it's 6 seconds at every rank, isn't it? Yeah, it's going up by 6 seconds at every single rank. Now this is a big nerf to Camille. Camille uses hookshot quite a lot, whether it's to engage or disengage, and sometimes hookshot might not even hit a champion. Sometimes it's just used for when Camille is split pushing, when she's escaping to maybe escape champions in the laner phase, or escape champions when she's split pushing, but also used as an engage to gap close so she can use her ultimate or even use her second ability to land her slow. But now the hookshot has a new passive as well. So if the dash hits an enemy champion, hookshot's cooldown is now also reduced by 5 seconds. So overall, if you hit an enemy champion with hookshot, the cooldown is only going to go up by 1 second. However, most of the time when you use hookshot with Camille, sometimes you're not even landing it on an enemy champion. Most of the time you will be, especially during laner phase, most of the time you will be hitting it on enemy champions. So I think laner phase, it might not be effective, but one thing this affects, of Camille even more is during split pushing, because most of the time when you E away, you're not going to hit an enemy champion. And also when you're trying to engage, when you're using a hook shot to use your ultimate to go into team fights, it's going to take a long time now until you can use a hook shot again. So you'll be basically stuck in the middle of the enemy team with your ultimate because your hook shot is on such a long cooldown. So a big change to hook shot. Doesn't make her as mobile as before, and we'll see how the changes go. And then also the ultimate is going up by 10 seconds at every single rank. I mean, the ultimate is one of the strongest ultimates in the entire game, basically isolating a single target from Camille so she can do so much damage, and also the rest of your team can follow up and do a lot of damage. So it's a big change. So Camille is getting hit by another big nerf. Will this affect her a lot? It probably will. I'll be totally honest. I think these changes are going to be pretty big for her. Again, players are going to have to adapt to a different Camille playstyle, like they've pretty much had to do every single patch that Camille gets nerfed. But we'll see how the changes affect her in patch 3.3c. Now moving on to Corki. Now Corki at the moment is in a very obviously difficult position. Ever since the Conqueror nerfs, Corki was never really that strong. Hull breaker nerfs as well meant that Corki as a solo lane was not really being played too much, and also because of the build path is a bit awkward at the moment. Some people go Man Immune, but that's really slow. Some people go Essence Reaver as the first item, but I personally don't like it. And some people like myself like to go, you know, Storm Razor, i.e. Solari Charge Blade, but that also means that you run out of mana quite quickly. So now they're changing a few things with Corki. So despite being a popular pick in competitive play, Corki has fallen behind when compared to other marksmen. We're giving the Daring Bombardinger some adjustments to increase his overall performance, while also reducing his presence in competitive play. So basically what this means is that competitive play Corki was basically always building Hullbreaker, Black Cleaver, Divine Sunderer, Liandry's, all these terrible items. So they're basically moving it to make Crit Corki more of a better build, but reducing the kind of tanky Corki build, I guess you can say, in a way. Now, the first change is to the passive, which is overall a nerf. The package pickup duration has gone from 1 minute down to 45 seconds. So this means when you pick up the package, normally you had 1 minute to activate the package, but now you only have 45 seconds, which means that you're going to have less time now to use your Corki package when you pick it up. Now, at the moment, the Corki package time is already very awkward, because Corki package comes up at 4 minutes and the dragon spawns at 5 minutes. So now most of the time, you probably have to go back to base at maybe... Oh god, it's going to be really awkward in terms of timings. Maybe at like 4 minutes 45 seconds, that gives you about 15 seconds to get back to the dragon with the bonus movement speed that you get, and then it gives you about 30 seconds when the dragon spawns to try and use your package. Now, sometimes you normally pick it up at maybe about 4 minutes 30 seconds, maybe 4 minutes and 15 seconds if you wanted to try and make a play before dragon, but now that time window is going to be reduced by 15 seconds. So it means that you can't just pick up as freely as before. You have to make sure you pick up in the exact window that you want it to. Valkyrie cooldown going down is actually really nice. Makes Corki a little bit more mobile, especially in the early game. The late game is still exactly the same, but early game, it means that he can play a little bit more safer. He's a very safe champion anyway, but if he does get dove on, it means that he can use Valkyrie a little bit more often than before. Now, Gatling Gun is probably the biggest change for Corki in this patch, and I'll explain to you why. So basically, Gatling Gun at the moment, you basically gain bonus AP damage and also bonus physical damage from the third ability, but now they're changing it so all of the attack damage that you get from Gatling Gun is all going to be converted into AP damage now, or magic damage is what you want to call it. Now, this kind of made Corki with, you know, Black Cleaver and everything quite strong, because some of the bonus attack damage was being converted to physical damage, which made, you know, Black Cleaver, Corki and everything so strong, and also the, you know, the damage was split as well. If you don't know, Corki's passive, 80% of the damage Corki does is magic damage, 20% is physical damage, even if you build AD items. So this is just making it even more of like a, okay, you need to build bonus attack damage to make sure that your Gatling Gun now deals more damage. So you can see that this is all split. So, you know, 16, 24, 32, 40 plus 20% bonus attack damage is physical damage, plus 16, 24, 32, 40 plus 20% bonus attack damage as a magic damage. But now they basically combine the two together. So now it's 32, 48, 64, 80, which is the exact same numbers, but now it's a plus 40% of your bonus attack damage as magic damage. So now you want to be building more bonus attack damage to make sure that it gets converted into, you know, make sure, well, most of it is going to get converted into magic damage now, and it's not going to get converted into physical damage. So like I said, this means that the bonus attack damage that you will be building will all go into magic damage now, and it won't split into half magic and physical damage. Again, this changes quite a lot to the whole you know, Black Cleaver thing with, you know, Divine Sunder and everything, which means that, like, you know, the bonus AD that you're building will now not only split into AD damage and magic damage, it will now only be magic damage. But the other big thing is also the resistance reduction. Now, Black Cleaver was really good with Corki because it procced really well on Corki's third ability and gave you insane armor reduction from the Black Cleaver passive. But now they're actually buffing the resistance reduction now on the third ability, which means that Black Cleaver might not even be needed anymore. So resistance reduction before was 8, 12, 16 and 20 depending on level, but now it's gone up to 10, 15, 20 and 25. And also the resistance reduction per tick has gone from 0.5, 0.75, 1 to 1.25 to now 1, 1.5, 2 to 2.5. So this is basically getting doubled. Not only is the resistance reduction going up, but the resistance reduction per tick is getting doubled. So this is like over double the resistance now that you get, that you can apply onto enemy champions when using your third ability. So a big change to Corki, and I think this change is going to be really good. I definitely have to test out Corki in the next patch. And then the missile barrage, the recharge time is going down at every single rank. This is another big thing as well. You know, Corki wasn't able to use the ultimate as much because, you know, 12 seconds is quite a long time. But now it going down all the way to 8 seconds as a recharge time is really nice. Again, I don't really know what the build path is going to be. Maybe Manamune might come back into it now. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe it's just going for like a full crit Ezreal build because of the extra attack damage that you get now converts into magic damage. We'll have to test out a few builds. But this missile barrage kind of tempted me to go Manamune and just spam the ultimate constantly over and over again. But we'll have to see. Fiora, Demasia's star duelist, hasn't been performing as well as we like her in the Baron lane. To lend her a hand, we're going to be sharpening her up and increase Fiora's durability in the later stages of the game to allow her to thrive better during team fights. So they're increasing her health per level by 10, which increases it by 140 overall. I think Fiora is in a pretty decent spot at the moment anyway. I think her laning phase is pretty strong. Yes, her late game can be a little bit more difficult because of the way Fiora works, but also I think that's all also because of quite how, you know, how difficult Fiora is to play, because you need to make sure that you use your parry at the perfect time, the second ability, and also make sure you know when to dash in, when not to dash in, when to use your ultimate. I think Fiora is definitely a very high skill champion. So I think the buffs are nice, but also I think it's because it depends on, you know, who plays the champion, also what elo as well, because the higher elo go, obviously the more comfortable players will feel like on Fiora. But yeah, I think this is a pretty nice change though, because Fiora definitely didn't feel as strong as some of the other bruisers in top lane, like Jax for example. And speaking of Jax, Jax is getting a nerf because Jax Baron lane is just ridiculously too strong. Everyone's favorite Grandmaster has been a menace in both the Baron lane and jungle. Not too sure about jungle, haven't been seeing Jax lane jungle too much, but Jax Baron lane has definitely been way too strong at the moment. Jax has been able to display early lane domination, or dominance I should say, whilst also scaling harder than his peers in the late game. To address this, we're cutting back on some of Jax's early power so we can provide his foes some more counterplay in the early game. So basically they're reducing his base attack damage by 6. So that means that in the laning phase he's not going to be as strong as what he was before. I did say before that Jax wasn't really too strong during the laning phase, but he was getting some easy, you know, trades off during the laning phase. In the Baron lane he was beating most of the other enemy champions that he comes up against. So 6 base AD is quite a lot. We'll have to see how this affects Jax during the laning phase, but this doesn't affect anything really when it comes to Jax during the mid and late game. When Jax scales into mid and late game, once he gets 2 or 3 items, he will just become unkillable even after this base AD nerf. So this gives a window for enemy champions against, or enemy players against Jax, to maybe have a little bit of a window to maybe go in and try and kill Jax. But I think 6 base AD is not really too much, so I think Jax will still be completely fine in the Baron lane, and he'll still be very strong. Kassadin is getting another nerf because his champion is just completely broken. But again, to be honest, I don't think they're hitting the right mark with Kassadin. I think his damage is a huge problem, especially as it scales into mid and late game. And the way he could just keep using his ultimate over and over again to be super mobile is very difficult. So our previous nerfs were powerless against Kassadin, true, as he's still overperforming in higher levels of play. So we're reducing how frequently he can silence and burst down his enemies. So they're increasing the cooldown by 1 second at every rank of the null sphere, and they're also reducing the base damage by 10 at every rank. Again, I don't think this will mean too much. Kassadin already builds a lot of ability haste, so this will basically be non-existent in terms of the 1 second increase. And also I don't think Null Sphere is one of the main reasons why Kassadin's so strong. You know, Kassadin during the laning phase, yes, you can use Null Sphere at a distance, Null Sphere, sorry, at a distance, and use it to farm minions. But also the second ability, the extra range that Kassadin gets is completely ridiculous. Also fleet footwork as well makes him really strong. And also you can use your third ability as well at distance. So I don't think this is the way to nerf Kassadin, but it's heading in the right direction, I guess you could say. Pantheon. Comet Sphere. So Pantheon has been struggling to find his foot in higher levels of play. I totally agree for a while now. In order to bring it up in line with other Baron laners, we're beefing up his overall damage output. So Comet Spear is Comet Willpower in power damage has gone from 20 to 230 plus 100 bonus AD to now 30 to 240, so increasing it by 10 overall, plus 110% bonus damage, so increasing his bonus attack damage by 10%. Considering this is the empowered version, I'm not really too sure what this will do too much. I think most of the time Pantheons like to go for empowered W, just because how quickly it is to proc Blades of Rune King and also Black Cleaver procs. Also empowered E is also very good, the third ability. I don't think most people use empowered Q that much unless you use it to just poke champions in laning phase, or just to use it to try and execute champions at the end of team fight. But this is a pretty big change though. Aegis Assault, which is the shield, which is the third ability, going down by 4 seconds at every single rank. This can make trading with Pantheon a lot easier, especially during laning phase and even during late game now. You know, 12 seconds on this shield during late game doesn't include obviously any ability haste. So I think this is going to be a really, really big change for Pantheon. Comet Spear, I don't really think too much, but I think the Aegis Assault, I think this gives more of a window for Pantheon players to try and engage and use the third ability to maybe block out some of the damage that might come his way. Renekton's received another buff. Renekton isn't as snappy, I see what they did there, as we like, and is still falling off in the later stages of the game. To help him out, we're increasing his health per level so he can be more impactful during those key team fights. So again, increasing the HP by 10 per level, the exact same change as Fiora. So that means that his maximum health is going to go up by 140, which means it goes up to 2,400 when he reaches level 15. Yeah, I think Renekton is in like a semi-decent spot. I think Renekton is pretty strong anyway at the moment. But again, it's going to make him even stronger when it comes to them late game team fights. Allows him to scale easier. I think Renekton's early game is completely fine during the lane phase. Maybe they feel like he's just not as tanky as it gets to the mid and late game. So that's why they're buffing that up a little bit. Ever so slightly. Teemo. Recently, Teemo has had some truffle in the Baron lane because the champion sucks, especially in higher levels of play. To make our favorite Swift Scout a more competitive pick, we're going to make him even more swift while also giving players more opportunities to capitalize off the damage and utility his guerrilla warfare ability can provide. So Move Quick, which is the second ability, which gives him the passive movement speed. This is going up by 5% at every rank. And the active movement speed is going up by 10% every rank. So basically, Teemo is going to be an absolute speed demon now. I think most of the time you max... Is it third ability first? Actually, no, I don't think it's third ability. Maybe it is still third ability first. I'm not really too sure. Honestly, I have not played Teemo in ages. I think I played one Teemo game, but the champion just absolutely sucks. I just never played Teemo at all, and I don't think this is going to change as well. I still don't think Teemo is going to be that great. Then guerrilla warfare, which I'm pretty sure is the invisibility, because it got changed, because the invisibility on PC League is the passive, but the poison is now the passive, and guerrilla warfare is the invisibility, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's going from 25, 23, 21, and 19 seconds now. Again, I don't think this is going to mean too much to Teemo. I have to wait and see. But I don't think it's going to mean too much. I still think Teemo is going to be pretty trash. Veigar has been extremely strong. Not as much as in competitive play, but some players have picked up Veigar in competitive play, but mainly in solo queue. Veigar is very, very strong. While this tiny master of evil loves to lock down his foes and show them the definition of pain, it has been frustrating to play against for some time. True, to give his opponents some more breathing room, we're pulling back on how often Veigar is able to lock down. So basically reverting the change that they did to Event Horizon a couple of patches ago, where they buffed his cooldown. They're now nerfing it again, reducing it by 2 seconds every rank. I think this is fine. I still think Veigar will be in the exact same spot. I think he's pretty much an S tier champion. His damage scales well into the late game. He's very passive during laning phase and can just scale up quite well. Use his passive to just get some more AP. So I think it's completely fine. Now, on to the item changes, as I'm trying to move this around to make sure I get all the item changes in one, because these are the last changes for the patch. All right, Gargoyle enchant. Gargoyle enchant has been so broken now ever since the change that it did. that they did. It's so cheap. It's basically the replacement of Zhonya's now. Everyone is going Gargoyle because of how much shield it gives, how cheap it is as well. And yeah, they're doing some changes to it. So since I've reworked in the enchant system, Gargoyle has proven to be too safe of a pickup. Now to who you're facing or the situation. We'll put him back on some of his power, so it's not the clear go-to, and other enchants can have some room to shine. So decreasing the base shield of to 30% of your maximum health to 20% of your maximum health. However, they're increasing the enhanced shield ratio from 200% to 300%. So the enhanced shield ratio is basically if there's 3 or more enemies nearby, you get a bigger shield. This shield is going up, but the base shield is going down. So this basically means that they're nerfing Gargoyle in 1 versus 1 situations, because some people were using it in 1 versus 1 situations as like a quick shield, as like a barrier in a way. So they're reducing that, but they're increasing the effectiveness of the enhanced shield ratio. That means when you get into team fights, when there's 3 people around you, your shield is going to be a little bit more. Overall, I think the shield will be the same for the enhanced shield ratio, because it's going down by 10%, the base shield, but the enhanced one is going up. So it's just like a kind of even itself out to make sure the enhanced shield ratio is still pretty good. And also the cooldown is going up by 15 seconds. So making sure you can't use Gargoyle that much. Guardian Angel, I think it's actually quite surprising that Guardian Angel was getting this much of a nerf. I mean, yes, Guardian Angel was being built quite a lot, maybe as 2nd or 3rd items in the jungle, sometimes in the Baron lane as well, but I don't think Guardian Angel was that strong, to be honest. Oh, sorry, excuse me. I don't think Guardian Angel was that strong. But anyway, Guardian Angel is being picked up as the 2nd or 3rd item. I just said that. And providing fighters too much safety in the early stages of the game. I want to keep this item as a late game pick, so increasing its cost. Makes sense. Again, as I said, junglers were picking up as a 2nd or 3rd item. There were some Baron laners that were picking up as 2nd or 3rd item. Very, very rare, though, that you're picking up as 2nd, 3rd item as a Baron laner. It was mainly through the jungle, like Camille sometimes goes, Trinity Force, Sterax, GA, or Trinity GA, you know, items like that. So yeah, nothing a little bit. Making sure that you can't build it as much anymore during the early stages. Magnetron, no one uses this enchant, so they're reducing the cost to 500 gold. We keep an eye on Megatron, but feels like you have to kill 1 too many minions to pick it up, making it not as attractive of a pick when compared to the other enchant options. To make this item more competitive, we're lowering its costs. Okay, so Magnetron is the one that you can use to dash to basically an ally and taunt someone nearby. I think the rune could be very cool for some champions like Alistar, Rakan, etc. However, you know, Protobelt is still the go-to on them champions, and considering Protobelt was the same cost as Magnetron before, that's why most of them champions were building Protobelt. But now that Magnetron is cheaper, maybe some people might go for that instead, but we'll have to see. And a big change this pack, so one that I'm excited about for the most, is Navori Quickblades. This item has been trash for okay, not trash. It was okay for some time, but like Storm Racer is better, Bloodthirst is better, Infinity Edge is better, Solari Charge Blade is better, Rapid Fire Cannon, Static Shift. The list goes on. All of these items are just so much better than Navori Quickblades. But finally, they're giving it a little bit of a change. Now, Navori Quickblades is performing up to our expectations in terms of raw power, okay, but we want to make it more of an attractive pick. So reducing its cost, increasing the non-ultimate cooldown reduction that players can gain when landing critical strikes. Now I'm going to quickly open up a game of Wild Rift. Sorry for the delay. And now I'm going to quickly compare this price to other items and compare it in terms of stats, because 200 gold, yes, it's not too much, but it also means that now maybe it's a bit more of a pick. Now, I don't think Navori Quickblades will ever get to a position where you will build this as a first item, because obviously the passive critical attacks reduce your non-ultimate ability cooldowns of their remaining cooldowns from 15 to 20%. So I don't think they'll ever so the buff is quite nice, but I don't think there'll ever be a way that Navori Quickblades gets built as a first item, because you want a little bit of crit, so then you're able to benefit a lot more from the passive. So if you compare it to other items, Storm Razor, for example, is, I can't see the price of Storm Razor because I'm blind in game. Sorry that you can't actually see this. Oh yeah, 3,100. So it's actually going to be cheaper than Storm Razor. Actually, it's going to be one of the cheapest AD items that you can get. Wow, it's actually cheaper than Bloodthirster, Storm Razor, Infinity Edge, and Mortal Reminder. I mean, the AD stats itself is not that great for Navori Quickblades. You only get 45 AD, which is less than Bloodthirster, less than Infinity Edge, and also I'm pretty sure less. Oh no, Storm Razor gives a little bit less than Navori Quickblades, but I think Navori Quickblades is fine. You know, 2,900 gold, 45 AD, 25% crit chance, 15 ability haste as well. I think there's some champions that might use this as a third item. I think like Lucian, for example, can go Storm Razor, i.e. Navori Quickblades. Maybe Xayah as well, Storm Razor, i.e. Navori Quickblades. But again, the problem is that bruisers are so impactful in the meta at the moment. So it means that Mortal Reminder is such an important item to build, because you've got champions like Renekton, Camille, Xin, all these champions are going like Death Stance, second item most of the time. So you need that armor penetration early on. But it's a cool way that maybe Navori Quickblades might find its way into the meta, but we'll see. But anyway, that is all the changes for patch notes 3.3c. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more Wild Rift content, and I'll see you in the next Wild Rift video. Peace.